Hi. My name is Coach Levi. I believe that after reading this book you will no longer feel hopeless about your tumbling. I am confident that you will learn how to manage your fear when you're tumbling, especially if you do indeed have a mental block. I have helped hundreds of athletes through in-person and virtual sessions. Not to mention thousands of others through videos, courses, and books like the one you are reading now. Is this book for athletes, parents, or coaches? The answer is all of the above. Although in my writing, I am speaking directly to the athlete in this book, it truly is for everyone. In fact, the quickest way to success when dealing with a tumbling block is to have everyone on the same page with the athlete's training, which is what I will attempt to do in this book. So, if you are an athlete reading this book, hi. Thank you for trusting me to help you figure out what's going on in your head, heart, and body when you are tumbling. Please share the stuff you learn here with your mom, dad, grandma, cousin, auntie, or whoever in your life supports you as a cheerleader, gymnast, or whatever sport you use your tumbling for. Also, there is a lot of stuff you can share with your coach. Don't be afraid to approach them with this information, especially if it helps you. I can't wait to see your tumbling life on the other side of this book. I hope you're as excited as I am. What is a mental block? There is a lot of discussion, and even controversy between tumbling coaches, over the topic of mental blocks when it relates to tumbling. The friction usually starts with the term a person chooses to use: mental block, tumbling block, performance anxiety, fear, dramatics, laziness, etc. For the sake of the argument, later in this section, I will give you my take on what it should be called along with my reasons based on experience and research on the topic. But first, we are going to look at the definitions of a few words and phrases that it'll be important to know before getting into the rest of this book. 1. Mental block, an inability to recall some specific thing or perform some mental action. 2. Emotional block, the inhibition of thought, speech, or responses due to extreme emotion, often associated with extreme fear. 3. Phobia, an extreme or irrational fear of or aversion to something. 4. Manage, succeed in surviving or in attaining one's aims, especially against heavy odds, cope. 5. Overcome, succeed in dealing with a problem or difficulty. So, do I think you have a mental block? Well, based on the definition of a mental block, I believe the only way someone would have a true mental block from tumbling would be if they hit their head hard enough that they got amnesia and literally forgot how to tumble. Chances are you still know how to do the skill in your head and your body is still physically capable of doing the skill. The two definitions that come to mind when I see someone experiencing extreme fear when tumbling is emotional block and phobia. These definitions use words like extreme or irrational when it talks about fear. My guess is those two definitions sum up how you feel when you are attempting a skill that you have been able to do forever by yourself and now are unable to do by yourself, and in some cases even with a coach spotting you. What does science have to say about it? In 1991, a doctor by the name of Dr. Armour discovered that the heart has its own intrinsic cardiac nervous system, a less medical way of saying that is a little brain. This little heart brain is composed of approximately 40,000 neurons that are like neurons in the brain, meaning that the heart has its own nervous system. In his research, Dr. Armour found that the heart sends more signals to the brain, the one inside your head, than the brain sends to the heart. Isn't that interesting? The reason this is so important in relation to tumbling is that those 40,000 neurons that travel back and forth from the heart create a memory from each experience. It basically creates a time stamp on the last time you fell, stopped, got yelled at, or felt pressure on a tumbling skill. That means if you fall or have any type of negative experience, your little heart brain will remember that experience. Crazy, huh? Based off the scientific literature I summed up in the paragraph above, it is crazy for a parent or coach to say to a tumbler, "Stop being afraid," or "I don't understand why you're not doing it when I've seen you do it a million times before." They might as well tell you to stop your heart from beating. Rather, you must work hard to recreate that experience and retrain those neurons to have a different memory to undo the traumatic experience. Unfortunately, repeatedly saying, "Don't be scared, just do it," doesn't work. If it did work, you wouldn't be reading this book right now. Conclusion: with all things considered, I believe the phrase, mental block, is an incorrect definition of what you are experiencing. I would say it is an emotional block, or in very extreme cases a tumbling phobia. However, for the sake of simplicity, throughout the rest of this book I will refer to what you are experiencing as a tumbling block or simply a block. Lastly, we will begin to use the word manage rather than overcome fear. If needed, refer back to beginning of session to refresh yourself on the definition of a manage. Block, nerves, or you're just not ready. Block. You've been able to do a skill for an extended period of time, longer than just 1 or 2 practices, and have done it hundreds and maybe even thousands of times, and out of nowhere you cannot get yourself to do that particular skill or maybe even simpler skills that you've been able to do for a long time on your own. Nerves. You have the jitters because this is your first time ever attempting a particular skill on your own, or it's been a long time since you've done it. You are still able to do all your other skills with no problem at all. Attempting to do this new skill has in no way affected your ability to do the other skills you already have. You're just not ready. I hear a lot of parents and coaches say, she has a mental block, that's why she can't do it on her own. I would argue that most of the time someone says that about an athlete, they are not truly experiencing a block. They may not have the physical strength or technique to do the skill, which would make it dangerous and unwise to force them to do it. Which one are you? It is important to identify which one of these categories you fall into before moving on. It's important that you correctly diagnose the issue to treat it correctly. What causes a tumbling block? Tumbling blocks are caused by your body's natural defense system, or one could say your survival instincts. First of all, it is unnatural to flip over your head. Through training and repetition over time your body and brain adapt to tumbling and the fear becomes manageable. That is until something triggers that natural defense system to kick back into action. If you are experiencing a tumbling block, you are actually more normal than anyone that is completely okay with flipping. Remember, it's an unnatural process to flip over your head. When someone comes to me with signs of a legitimate tumbling block, not just nerves, I always ask them what triggered it. Many times, their first response is, I don't know, one day I was just scared to do my tumbling out of nowhere. That's only because they haven't really taken the time to think about what triggered it. To find the solution, we need to know where and how the problem started. If you are unsure what kicked on your defense system, maybe I can jar your memory with this list of common triggers. You stopped in the middle of a skill, and it scared the daylights out of you. You did a skill and got seriously injured during the process. Someone walked in front of you or distracted you in some way during your tumbling pass. You felt pressure to do a skill for tryouts or competition. You felt pressure from parents and or coaches expecting you to do a certain skill. A coach tricked you and said they would spot you but didn't. The list goes on and on. Tumbling is like math. No, I don't mean tumbling is confusing and difficult like calculus. Rather, I mean it's a simple equation that doesn't change. Ask any math teacher or first grader, what is 1 plus 1? Type into a calculator 1 plus 1 and you will always get the same answer, it equals 2. Why is that? Because we all understand this simple addition equation. We know how to add 2 or more numbers together. If you were in a life or death situation and to save your life you had to answer the question, what is 1 plus 1, you wouldn't panic and say, 3, you would probably still panic if it was life or death, but you would spare your life and of course answer, 2. Okay, where am I going with this? Let me explain. There are formulas in tumbling that are true no matter what, just like math. For instance, I tell my students who are experiencing a tumbling block on a back tuck, if you lift your arms when you jump or rebound, you will get height. If you kick your knees up to your chest using your abs you will get rotation. Finally, if you grab your legs with your hands and pull them tight towards your body you will finish your flip and land. So, the formula for a back tuck is lift plus kick plus pull equals back tuck. No matter what. No matter how many times you do it, no matter what surface you're doing it on, no matter if you're getting spotted or not spotted, no matter how scared you are, the formula stays the same. Now if you were to do something else, I can't guarantee that you would do a successful tuck. Just like the example I gave you about the life or death situation, if you say anything other than, "2" in your state of panic, that wouldn't guarantee you would spare your life. So, no matter what fear you feel, no matter what your nerves are telling you, you logically know that if you lift plus kick plus pull you will complete a back tuck. It's a fact. It's like math or science, there is no arguing with it. Understand? If you can put a formula together, based on sound coaching, strength and technique of course, for each skill you do, you will have something more solid to go off of rather than, "I hope I make it over," or leaving it to chance. You will know with 100% certainty that you will successfully complete the skill you are attempting. Do you trust your coach? If you do not trust your coach 100% with your life and you are experiencing a tumbling block, you need to find a new tumbling coach ASAP. Especially if your current coach contributed to what triggered the block. If they put too much pressure on you, yelled at you, embarrassed you in front of your team, or said, "I will spot you," but tricked you and let you fall, which triggered the block. The trust between tumbler and coach is one of the absolute most important things in your journey of managing this block. How well does your coach know you? Your coach needs to know what works for you, specifically you, not any other athlete. He or she also needs to know what works against you. Your coach should know you like their own kid. They should know how your relationship is with your parents, your grades, if you are a drama queen, how you do in other sports, how long you've been tumbling, if you've experienced a tumbling block in the past, if tumbling come naturally easy to you, or did you have to work harder than the average tumbler to get to where you are with your tumbling, and everything in between. Basically, he or she needs to know how you function inside your brain and how you deal with your feelings and emotions. A tumbling coach to an athlete experiencing a block is more of a psychologist than a tumbling coach. They need to help your mental and emotional state become healthy again. They need to help you rebuild your relationship with tumbling in a healthy way, not a forceful way. In future sections we will go over proactive steps you can take to prepare your mind, but ultimately it is up to your coach to prepare you mentally and emotionally. So, find that right coach for you, starting today. Who is really your friend? When it comes to experiencing a tumbling block, your teammates will play a big role in your journey and the speed it happens. You will more than likely get negativity from some of your teammates that have never experienced a tumbling block themselves. You will have those who say things like, "It's so annoying, she just needs to do it," or "She's just doing this to get attention." Stay far away from those teammates. You do not any negativity at this time. I'm sure you are already hard enough on yourself. On the other hand, you will have some very understanding and empathetic teammates who say things like, "You've got it, girl," or "It's okay, just try again, don't give up." You need to surround yourself and stay as close as possible to these teammates as possible. Friends outside of practice. You will be most like the 5 closest friends you have. Are your friends motivated to do well in school? Do they respect themselves and others? Do they eat well and take care of their bodies? Are they uplifting, or do they tear others down? Do they show you tough love by being hard on you when you are talking about your experience with tumbling? Do they make fun of you or make jokes about it? If so, you might need to rethink your friendships. Don't take this lightly. There are several other sections in this book dedicated to life outside the gym, because the life you live outside the gym has just as big of an effect on you as the things that happen in the gym. You need to constantly put your mind, body, and emotions in the best environment. A huge part of this has to do with who you hang around with in your spare time. Seriously think about who you surround yourself with and ask yourself, are they contributing to helping me gain more confidence during this tumbling block, or are they pulling me down with negativity? Look in the mirror. Although coaches might yell at you, parents might make you feel guilty for wasting their time and money, teammates might be mad at you or make fun of you. Chances are, you are still the hardest and most critical person of all. Here is a list of traits that I see most tumblers dealing with blocks possess. Ask yourself, which ones apply to me? Naturally talented, tumbling came pretty easy to you. Book smart, has good grades. Critical on self, holds high expectations for self on everything you do. Popular, pretty, charismatic. Does not like to show emotions, cry in front of people. Perfectionist. The things listed here are not bad things if they describe you. It is important to know yourself so that you correctly prioritize things in your life and then adjust accordingly. Hold high expectations for yourself, but also realize that you do not have to be perfect and always have everything together. You need to have grace on yourself when it comes to your tumbling journey. Look at the positive qualities you have and don't compare yourself to anyone else's tumbling, grades, looks, athleticism, or anything else. You are amazing just the way you are. Own it. Let's take it to the mat. There are so many different things we need to change and adjust outside of the gym, as we have already talked about and will continue to talk about. However, what you do, think and feel while in the gym is where the rubber meets the road. Let's talk about what you can do while you are tumbling. 5, 6, 7, 8, go 1. A very useful tool I use for my athletes is an 8 count. Let's say you are standing there trying to do a standing back handspring and you keep flinching like you are about to go repeatedly. A lot of people will do this for 5 minutes straight and never end up getting anywhere. So, what you want to do is start counting. 5, 6, 7, 8. Tell yourself all you are committing to is sitting, not flinching, on 1. Then once you sit 1, straighten out your legs for the jump and reach with your arms on 2, and before you know it you have done your back handspring. It's all about taking it a step at a time and giving your mind something to focus on rather than the whole thing all at once. Or if connecting running tumbling is a challenge for you, do a 2-step round off. Take off 1 up 2 round off 3 4 land 5, as you land try to connect 5, if you do not connect on 5 continue counting and go as close to 5 as possible, whether that's 6 7 8 or the following one. Each time you do it try to connect closer and closer to 5. This has helped so many of my tumblers over the years. Try it out or suggest it to your tumbling coach. Focus on technique. Another thing that tumblers experiencing tumbling blocks fail to do is a continued effort to improve the skill. The tumbler and the coach are so consumed with doing it that they forget about trying to improve it. Many times, I'll tell an athlete, hey, try to make this the highest back tuck you've ever done, really use your legs, feel the lift with your arms, don't throw your head back. Or, make this the fastest BHS in the world, reach fast with your arms, block up hard, squeeze your core tight. I'll give them so much information that they are focused on the height or speed or whatever it is I want them to do more than the fear of actually doing it. It gives your mind a distraction, which is exactly what you want to do. If you don't think about anything, naturally negative thoughts will fill your mind by default. Private lesson or group class. From my experience, the majority of tumblers experiencing a block are going to do better in a private lesson setting. By private I mean no friends around, not a semi-private, but an individual, just you and the coach. However, there are some athletes who do better when others are around because that pressure is good for them to do it. Their adrenaline starts pumping and they want to match the level of the other tumblers or what to show off their skills. Private lessons with the right coach are very beneficial because you have the coach's full attention. The coach can spend time talking with you and actually work through it. You will probably not feel as rushed or embarrassed if you don't connect the skill. Typically, the class setting is not good because the tumbler will take so long to go sometimes that the coach gets irritated because he has 12 other tumblers waiting in line for their turn. If a private lesson is something you feel like will benefit you the most, be sure to talk with your parents about setting up a couple of lessons for you. Like we talked about in a past section, make sure it is with a coach you truly trust and that is sensitive to and aware of what you are going through. Parents, this is for you. Tumblers, please share this section with your parents. If you are a parent reading this and you want to see your kid get their confidence and their tumbling skills back, please listen and apply the information found in this section. I'm going to be straight up with you, speaking from experience, parents typically do not understand what a tumbling block is and what it feels like to you. But you can't blame them. They've been watching you do these skills for years, then boom, out of nowhere, you just stop doing every skill, or a very important skill you need for tryouts or your team. Are you kidding me? After spending thousands of hours, thousands of dollars and multiple years working on these things, and then you're telling me you're going to stop doing it just like that? As a tumbler experiencing a block, you have probably heard these things or similar things said to you by a parent. If you are a parent reading this, let me assure you it's not your kid being lazy, rebellious, stubborn, or anything of that nature. Trust me when I say, your child wants to do it more than you want them to do it. Don't add more pressure. The biggest help you can provide your child experiencing a tumbling block is believing in them, encouraging them, and not adding to the pressure. Don't threaten them with things like, if you don't throw it by yourself tonight you can't go to that birthday party on Friday. If you make your coach stand there one more time, I'm not wasting my money anymore on private lessons for you, or any statement like that. This is cruel and unfair. Give them the benefit of the doubt that they want to come out of this on top and get more confident with their tumbling as badly as you want them to. Praise the small wins. Reward the small successes, not just the big ones. This can come in small achievements like, hey, since you did your tumbling pass, even though your coach was standing there 5 times in a row without stopping, let's go eat at your favorite restaurant for dinner tonight. Show them that you are actually proud of them and recognize their progress. Go watch, or stay in the car. If you are a parent who finds yourself yelling across the gym while the coach is trying to do their job, it might be a good idea to wait this one out in the car. On the other hand, if you are a parent who encourages your child when they are taking a drink break and your tumbler intentionally asks for you to stay at their lesson, then yes, this would be a good time to stay. This is completely a case-by-case type of thing. It all depends on the relationship between the parent and the tumbler and if the parent adds unnecessary pressure or not. Tumblers, this is something you should seriously talk to your parents about. Parents, if your child chooses to not have you watch them at tumbling practice, don't take it personal. See it as a flattering thing that they care so much about what you think that they don't want to let you down. Social media. What in the world does social media have to do with tumbling? A lot. It is important to follow up building positive people who have inspiring things to share. You should strive to unfollow any kind of negativity, especially cheer-fail accounts. Every time you watch someone's video of them busting on a tumbling skill, even if you laugh at it, it is reinforcing that fear in your mind and your body will react to that. Even if you are not directly thinking about that during the time of your practice, subconsciously it's there. If you are on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube or any other social media on the internet, you need to go through and ask yourself if that account is really helping you or holding you back from reaching our goals. Just like we talked about doing with your friends in a previous section. If it is not positive, cut it out. What to eat before tumbling? It will be important to eat a light, balanced snack with good carbohydrates and protein about an hour before tumbling. Some examples: fruit and yogurt with granola. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich on whole grain bread. Fruit smoothie with a handful of almonds. Caffeine. A small amount of caffeine on your way to tumbling practice can have a significant positive effect on your energy and focus. This of course depends on your age, sensitivity to caffeine and the time of day you tumble to avoid interference with sleep that night. Some examples: small can of caffeinated soda. Small cup of coffee. Cup of brewed green or black tea. Water. The simplest and most important thing you can do for your overall energy, focus, strength and recovery is to stay hydrated. This is not a quick fix. Chugging a gallon of water before you go tumble would cause cramps in your side, swishing in your stomach and tinkle tumbling. Don't act like you've never tinkle tumbled before. Conclusion. I am confident that with the education you received in this book you are fully equipped and ready to turn any block, fear, nerves or negative energy into positive excitement and tumble like never before, or just like you used to. Next steps. Continue to educate yourself with the resources found in my community. It should take about 2 weeks to go through all the material plus time to apply what you learned a couple times in the gym. My hope is you are then on the right track and can continue to apply the things you have learned and don't need to take any further steps. If you are still struggling, then you can consider setting up a virtual session so I can personally help you with your specific situation as needed. Finally, if needed you can schedule some in-person one-on-one training or attend one of my fear management camps. I am so honored to be a part of your fear management journey, Coach Levi.